SportsMatters TV, bringing the sports home. Okay guys, welcome to SportsMatters TV. I'm joined by a boxing superstar, a lady I've been watching, from the early amateur days. Natasha Jonas, first of all, how are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. No, it's been a crazy 12 months for all boxers, all elite fighters, given the pandemic and stuff. But how has it been for you? Obviously, you can train, but it's been a tough 12 months, no doubt.
Yeah, I think, school's closing and homeschooling, which is not my strongest point. And yeah, just, surviving financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything was hard but you find your way. And, I always moan sometimes about, always rushing. Like I rush to get the baby up, dressed and fed to school, and then I rush to pick up back up at 5 o'clock, and then you've only got like 2.5 hours to, feed her, undress her, get her bathed in bed. And I always thought, like, I don't have enough time. It feels like there's not enough time. And then all of a sudden, I got granted with 24 hours worth of time, and it was like, ooh, this was more than I was expecting. But as I say, you just roll with it, and it's mad that I learned more about my own child in that first lockdown, which is crazy. But it was time that it was probably overdue, and that I will never probably have again. So I did enjoy it. I learned about myself. I've developed myself. So it wasn't all bad.
Definitely. Now, we have to speak May 1st. It's the news that every boxing fan wanted to see. It's a fight that's been in the making, ever since the amateur fights and the Olympic fight. But obviously, we all know you're going to fight Katie Taylor. You've worked your whole life, for a chance, to win all these belts. Obviously, you're looking forward to this fight. How's preparation going for it so far?
It's going really well. We've just got into, this week and a bit towards the end of last week, the more specific, Katie-specific stuff. The first part of camp is obviously, getting your weight down and getting fit. And now it's just about, tailoring it to Taylor.
Yeah. No, it's obviously, look, we know from the early amateur days, it was always yourself and Katie Taylor. They're the two names that were always talked about, both iconic names in women's boxing, in Great Britain, in Ireland. Obviously, you know Katie quite well. I was saying to you just before we came on, it obviously broke my heart when you both clashed, because, I want the both of you to win the Olympics. But look, obviously you've got a lot of respect for Katie, and it's a fight you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, from the amateur days onward, she was always someone that I looked up to. She set the bar very high, and everyone was playing catch up for a very long time. But in that, we did catch up. So, I've got the most admiration for her outside the ring. But when we're coming to respect in the ring, she's gonna have to earn it.
Definitely. No, we have to speak of your last outing. Obviously, Terri Harper. Look, I know this question gets put through to you probably a million times per day, but look, when we watched the fight, we had you winning by 2 rounds, okay? And that's an honest opinion. Like, Terri Harper, an absolute legend, a warrior, but we had you winning by 2 rounds. How did you find the aftermath of that fight? Obviously, it was such a great fight, iconic, for women's boxing, but, how was the aftermath for that for you?
Do you know what? It was good and bad in the sense of, it was good in the sense that I kind of brushed away the Obanov loss then, and it was like I presented myself at world level. I've proved that I've got a right to be here. So for a boxing sense, it was good. But on the other side, like the baby was so involved in that camp. Like, she obviously, like I said, the schools were shut. She was coming along to every session. I was running down, chasing her down the track. She was giving me water in between sparring rounds, and I had to come home today, and she was like, my eye was like big, it was cut, and she was like, "Mummy, are you okay?" Giving me kisses on the eye. She was like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah." She was like, "Did you win?" I was like, "No, babe, but I didn't lose either." And then, like, a couple of weeks later, when she went back to school, she came back and was like, "Mummy, I made you this medal because you didn't win your medal that you wanted to win." And it's that side, like, it's heartbreaking to come back and have nothing to be tangible to be able to hold, see, and be like, okay, I made all these sacrifices and this is what I got. And it kind of, I don't want to say makes it all worth it, but it does. So when you haven't got that, it's a big slap in the face, especially if you believe that you should have.
Yeah. Like, I won't go too much into it, but look, we know there's politics in boxing. There should have been a rematch straight away. But we know things happen, right? You know what I mean? I'm not going to take nothing away from Terri because, look, she's a fantastic girl and a great boxer, but it seems perhaps they ducked the fight, the rematch. You know what I mean? It's one of these things that will be talked about for a long time, but obviously, you know, you've turned your attentions to Katie Taylor. How did the fight come about? Obviously, we know there was so much history there. Obviously, it came to you on the table. You were happy to take that fight straight away, no doubt.
So this is genuinely what happened. I got tagged in on social media in a post from an Irish press release saying, rumour has it that Natasha Jonas is Katie's next opponent. So all people on Twitter were like, is this true? And I was genuinely like, no, I haven't heard nothing. And I hadn't. So then literally about 10 days later, possibly 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Tom. Tom's obviously part of my management company who I report to. He's like, Tash, just need to know quickly, would you take the Katie Taylor fight? I was like, are you messing, Tom? Of course I would. He was like, okay, let me phone you back. So he goes away. Maybe a day later, he phones me back and says, right, we can get the Taylor fight if you want it. I said, of course I will. It takes a long time, as you know, in boxing to sort out the particulars, the contracts, agree, and whatever. And literally, I think Matchroom announced it on the Friday. I'd only signed it the week before. So it was literally, it took a while to sort the contract out, but it was done like that. But it was something that Twitter told me, and I was like, no, really. And people must have thought I was lying when it came out. I was like, look, we told you that months ago. I was like, yeah, you did tell me, because it wasn't even a thing. It wasn't anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, look, we're so happy the fight's happening because obviously it's the biggest fight in boxing, in my opinion, given the history, given, you know what I mean, you know, the way you box. It's going to be an absolute war, and we can't wait. We have to speak of, obviously, Joe Gallagher. What a man. What a trainer. Obviously, he's been with you a long time. I've met him numerous times, and he's always cracking jokes at me. He calls me Corky Boy whenever he sees me. But obviously, you know, he works hard with you. He's a great guy. What credit do you have to give to him?
Everything. I mean, there's so many things behind the scenes that Joe does, and he'd be embarrassed if it said. So I won't embarrass him, but you know, his thing is taking the pressure off his fighters, and as you've seen with the Harper camp, everyone, I was a massive underdog anyway, but there was no pressure on me because Joe had took it all. It became about Joe and Steffi more than it became about me and Terri. And by the time the fight came, I didn't feel any pressure because Joe had took it all, and he gets a lot of bad press for it, but he's just doing the best for us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's you know, that's the side that nobody sees. He does do a lot inside, outside, and goes above and beyond what his role is as a coach and a trainer. So, you know, there's a lot of respect and admiration for Joe because, you know, I see the other side that nobody else sees. He doesn't want people to see that nice side either.
He's a legend. Now, one thing that always baffles me is the underdog status you get. I never understand to this day, Tasha, how you have an underdog status for most fights. You know, like amateur, you were incredible. You know what I mean? Professional, incredible. Where does that underdog tag come from? Because I can't understand it for the life of me.
I don't think. I mean, you're seeing glimpses of it. I still don't think Harper was a great performance, if I'm honest. I think I've got a lot better in me, and we will see that in the Taylor. But I don't think I've performed at the best of my ability in pro fights so far. So I get why people, you know, and I've fought people that other people have fought, so they make comparisons, and I get that. But boxing's boxing, and you know that on the day, it's a different thing. And the more you tell me that I can't do something and I won't do something, the more I'll prove you wrong, because that's something that I'll get up for. You tell me I can't, I'll tell you I can, and whether you believe me or not, you'll see it.
Well, I love that. Now, we have to put you on the spot with fight predictions. Look, these are fan questions. Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo. Who wins and how does the fight finish?
I genuinely believed that, you know, Callum could cause all sorts of problems for Canelo. And then he obviously won and won convincingly. The only thing I could say, I would love Billy Joe to win. I genuinely would love him to win. The only thing I can say that he's got in his favour is that who do you get for sparring that replicates Billy Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such an awkward. Billy Joe at his best is a nightmare for anybody.
Yeah.
And you know, Martin Murray, we didn't see the greatest Billy Joe, but he also didn't need to be the greatest Billy Joe for that fight. I think if we get the best version of Billy Joe, then he causes problems for absolutely anybody. But at this time, at this present moment, I just think Canelo he's in a league of his own, and I didn't give him enough credit for the boxing IQ against Callum, and he's so smart. Not only is he fast, explosive, got power, whatever, but he's so smart. But again, with Triple G, we have seen that he's human. So,
yeah,
it makes for a good fight. I would love to see Billy Joe win.
Fingers crossed. Now, we'll have to ask you one more prediction. There's a couple there, but look, we're going to go Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. Look, it's so hard to call, and I love them both to bits. Like, you love them both to bits as well. But look, obviously, it's probably going to be one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. What's your prediction, if you can give one? You don't have to, but if you can give one, what would it be, and how's the fight won?
Obviously, Joshua was in my 2012 team, and all my loyalties are with Joshua. I do believe he can win. I don't believe he knocks him out. If you get up off a punch from Wilder, you get off a punch from anyone. So I don't believe that he can win. And you know what? It's just a great fight for British boxing, because these are two heavyweights in their prime, at their best, wanting to fight. And when was the last time we had that? And the great thing about it, it's like the old Ben Eubank Collins days, is that you have to pick a side. No one's going to be on the fence in the middle. Everyone's going to pick a side, and it'll divide the nation, which is great. It's a talking point. It is everything. We are an entertainment sport at the end of the day. But yeah, I have to go with Joshua, and
we respect that. Now, last of all, we have so many young female, up and coming boxers. They want to go to the gyms. Obviously, right now it's kind of hard because of COVID. But what advice can you give to all the girls that enter the gym from a young age? Obviously, boxing, it can be a dark place. You can't fake boxing because it's an art. But what advice can you give to them? And that will guide them. That will help them moving forward.
I've been asked by quite a few amateurs about turning pro, and I would say I would stay amateur as long as you can, and get as far as you can, because it puts you in good stead for the professional game, one anyway, and it also gives you a platform to be able to learn and develop. But the biggest thing that I can say to anyone is, work hard, try your best, and the biggest asset you can have is the belief in yourself, even when nobody else does. Yeah. So, if you do them things, anything that you put your mind to is possible.
Love it. Tasha, it's an absolute honour speaking to you as always. May 1st, we can't wait. 2 absolute warriors going head to head. Easily biggest fight in female boxing history, in my opinion. We wish you all the best. We will talk to you in the near future as well. And enjoy the training camp. I know they're quite hard. You look great, so keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, nice one. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Natasha. Speak soon.